What is going on, Arizona sports fan family? How are we doing out here today on this Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen? I am super excited. Of course, I got my guy Mythic here. What's up, brother man? How you doing today?
Doing pretty good, dude. How are you?
Good, good. Can't complain. Now, obviously, we got a lot to talk about here for the Arizona Cardinals. Injuries keep piling up. I want to get your take on the Budda Baker situation. Now, obviously, my show has changed, right? I had a list of the orders of what we wanted to talk about, but first, Kyler Murray ended up dropping a gem on TikTok with him, allowing us to kind of get a little insight of his rehab. I wanted to play that here pretty soon so everybody's fully aware that Kyler Murray, our QB1, is working hard, working diligent to come back to give us hopefully a spectacular show. Now, before we do that, I want to give a big shout out to the people that are currently in the chat. Terry, Jack, Otis, Freezy, what's up, everybody? Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Deus, I saw you a little earlier. Let's dive into this. If you don't mind, let's go ahead and just talk about Kyler Murray and his latest rehab and what we feel about it as Cardinal fans. Let's dive right into it.
Slow. That's better. Let it sit in there. That's the best way. Straight down. Don't shift back on me. Straight down. There you go. There you go.
Yo, what a moment to give a tear in the eyes before we start this show here, ladies and gentlemen. Man, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts here on Kyler Murray? Obviously, he's been getting a lot of flack from Arizona Cardinal fans, right? Not believing in him, not believing in the Cardinals this year. Man, what are your thoughts here on Kyler Murray? What does this video tell you or make you feel?
All right, so I'm going to kind of look at it from his perspective or just a player's perspective because I feel like a lot of the times we view it as a fan, just like kind of like it's Madden. We don't know these players. We don't know anything about them. And it's kind of just like you're viewing it from an outside standpoint, just like they're not even a person. They're just like this fixation of the mind, like, okay, they got a big time amount of money. They're professional players. You don't really view it like, okay, this is also a human being who at one point had this entire fan base backing you. And then tear your ACL, flash forward, and then the entire fan base flips on you, and all you hear is Caleb Williams, Caleb Williams, Caleb Williams. And it's got to suck.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. It's got to suck for him. And then you have to go through rehab and hearing all these things. Is Kyler a franchise quarterback? Like, I think we hired Jonathan Gannon because of Kyler Murray. I think that was like going into like the hiring process. Like, this is your quarterback. He has a contract. This is what we're doing. But then going back to like the player thing, like it's got to suck. And then going through rehab as well, that is not fun. Rehab it's a pain. So
yeah,
you got to go through that too.
It's true, man. Honestly, I think we all do kind of, and including myself as well, right? I think we kind of get lost in the idea of like, yeah, they're definitely human beings as well. And it sucks because obviously it looks like he is trying to put his full effort to come back here sooner rather than not. We have heard Jonathan Gannon come out and say that he will not sit out the season, right? Now, we don't know if we're going to be an 0-5 team if the plan changes, but at least in the beginning of the season, that the thought was that Kyler Murray was going to be playing in the 2023 season. So this gets me excited. Honestly, it gets me hyped up. Now, this kind of is a clip that I want to show here real quick because it's one of my favorite superhero movies, The Dark Knight. Now, this is said very, very perfectly to me. And it kind of, obviously, Kyler Murray seemed to be a quarterback, right? We ride and die with him. If he does good, we do good. If we don't do good, then, a lot of people start kind of looking the other way. So I'm going to play this clip here real quick.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
And that's exactly what we're dealing with right now, right? I feel like a lot of Arizona Cardinal fans right now, because if you look at the years that Kyler Murray's been with us, we look at it as what has he done for us lately, right? And all we really have is a playoff game where we looked absolutely abysmal, right? And Kyler Murray did have some, flack to take for that as well, but it was the whole team, man. And that's including coaching staff. I don't know how anybody survived that embarrassment of a year to get completely destroyed and slaughtered in that wild card game versus the Rams. So I think we're kind of in the situation right now where we're talking about Dobbs or Tune, right? Like, that's how bad it is. Like, this reminds me of the Skelton, the Hall, the
Kevin Cobb,
all the other quarterbacks that we had before. Now we have Kyler Murray. It's just, we're all kind of waiting to see when he's coming back. So it's very unfortunate in terms of the fan base turning on him, but I understand where the urgency is from them. But let's give him at least this year is all I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, because he brought us to our first playoff appearance, like literally the first playoff appearance since Carson Palmer.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when that was, 2016? Something like that. It's been a long time, I believe.
Yeah.
2016 after.
Yeah, 15, but
I believe
it
it
was
was 15, 16.
Yeah. Because
So that was it. That's all we've had until Kyler Murray came here, took over one of the worst franchises in the entire NFL with 3 wins. We looked awful. This team was historically bad. I believe we were one of the worst teams of all time, one of the worst 5 or something, offensively.
Yeah.
He came in here and he transcended this offense. And coming into the NFL too, people kind of disrespect. For someone who's missed a couple games as well, the fact that you're 4 seasons in, accumulated almost 14,000 passing yards, 84 touchdowns, and only 41 picks with a 92 QBR, it's not bad. And he brought us to a playoff appearance. Obviously, coming off an ACL, you do have to evaluate. I can't sit here and act like that's not part of the process.
For sure.
But coming in here, he's not a bum. People are writing him off like he's a bum and he's done nothing in the NFL. He shows he can play.
Yeah.
For someone who can't watch film or doesn't watch film, plays Call of Duty all day, I mean, he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
No, and I'm glad you actually pointed that out to the fact that the fact that I don't think me and you, now I can't speak for everybody, right? Any other podcasts out there, I can't speak for them, but for the most part, we just want to see what he can do with Drew Petzing, right? What can he do with Drew Petzing? Now, I think the evaluation process was one of the most important things moving into the 2023 season. So it's TBD right now, but this does get me excited as a Cardinal fan, and I feel like it should get other Cardinal fans riled up as well, because it almost kind of seems like we're trying to throw that Batman signal up in the air, right? Where we're like, man, we need our quarterback, and this guy might be the one to get us out of that funk where it's. I'm so curious to figure out what fans are going to think, the tanking fans are going to think when Kyler Murray does come back, because I'm curious to figure out if they're still going to be singing that same tune. I hate saying tune because Clayton tune, but are they going to be singing that same tune, right? Where it's like, oh, tanking's the right way when Kyler Murray does come back. So I'm just curious to figure out how this is all going to work out. I'm hoping Kyler Murray comes back sooner rather than not, but as of right now, it's kind of TBD.
Yeah, I feel like once he does come back too, this offense will take leaps and boundaries ahead, because you're not playing a vanilla offense anymore and you're not limited. Yeah. Kyler Murray can bomb it. Kyler Murray can do whatever you need him to do on the field. You want to run it? Cool. You want bootlegs? Cool. You want deep passes? He's got you. He has a connection with Hollywood Brown. The offense will take leaps and boundaries ahead. And that connection with Zach Ertz was pretty dangerous when they were both healthy, both coming off ACL tears though. So we'll see, but hopefully he bounces back.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Let me get to this contribution here from Deas. Appreciate you, brother. He says, I think we all just forget how great of an athlete and talented he is. I will try to never forget, even on bad days like that I have in the past. Absolutely. And I don't think me and Mythic here are trying to come up here and say that, Kyler Murray is the end all be all. No, I think the most important thing is evaluation, right? Like that's what we need to focus on is evaluation. Is he the quarterback of the future? But he does deserve a chance because he's been one of the best quarterbacks outside of Carson Palmer as well as Warner, which is, it's crazy because like that's 10 years or no, 10 plus years, 15 years, a lot of time between, just mediocrity quarterbacks. So we finally got a guy that can win games and is spectacular. It's just a lot of people seem to kind of be giving up a little too soon. Just give us one more year is what we're saying.
And then I said something crazy to my friend. Not really crazy, just because of the history of the Cardinals and lack thereof quarterbacks. And the quarterbacks that we get are typically on the back end of the career.
Yeah.
I said with one more season accumulated, Kyler Murray would be basically a top 5 quarterback in Cardinals history. And he's like, my friend was telling me I'm bugging. And then we looked at the list. I'm not bugging. You go compare Kyler's stats to anything. No Cardinals quarterback won a Super Bowl. So there's nothing there. And I was like, yeah, Kyler Murray took us to the playoffs. He has great stats. I mean, no quarterback back then is really doing what Kyler did. I think he's easily top 5, maybe even top 3.
Yeah, we're talking about Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say definitely top 5. I know some people would say Plummer would be put in there as well. But for like the modern people, definitely top 3 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, right? Hopefully nothing but the best for him and his recovery. And hopefully we see him, rather than later. Let's dive into the injuries. I know we want to talk about Cowboys and Cardinals just a tad bit because obviously that's the game that we have coming up next. And Cowboy fans are kind of, licking their chops, licking their fingers and try to make us a Thanksgiving dinner pretty soon. Let's talk about injuries here for the Arizona Cardinals. We've been dealing with a lot. LJ Collier, I believe Jonathan Gannon ended up coming out today and saying that, yes, he actually had injury. So we're not going to see him. And then we got this gem dropped on us here from Jeremy Fowler earlier this morning saying that defensive tackle Carlos Watkins has a bicep injury from week 2 and requires surgery per source, could miss a significant amount of time. What are your thoughts on this, man?
See, I'm glad there's stats below because just hearing the name Carlos Watkins, you might not think much. You might be like, okay, cool. You just lost another defensive tackle. That's just another depth player. Like, cool. You're not really missing anything. 7 tackles, 1 sack, 1 pass deflection in 2 games.
Yeah.
For a defensive tackle who people don't even know his name.
Yeah.
So come on, man. Like that is a big time presence in the middle. And then LJ obviously gonna miss some time too, I believe, right?
Yeah, definitely miss some time for sure. I know I've seen some people tweet around the fact that like, oh, this sounds common, right? Because I believe he did have some injuries with the Seahawks where he was originally drafted. And I think we're kind of just dealing with it here as Arizona Cardinal fans, unfortunately, with the idea of him missing time as well. I'm not sure exactly how much time he's gonna miss. But Carlos Watkins, significant, can be anything, right? It could be 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. It could be a year. We don't know. It's just, right now it's just kind of TBD to figure it out. Yeah, it sucks, man. But we're kind of definitely going in here. Undermanned is the best way. I know Jonathan Gannon was trying to paint this picture perfect and acting like this was going to be fine because we have the right people, but we got to be realistic here. We do, right? But one of the main reasons why we kind of faltered at the end of the Giants game is that the talent, although we think is good, right? We're seeing flashes. It doesn't amount to these NFL teams that we're going to be playing for these next 3 weeks. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if we're missing both our inside presences against a 49ers and Dallas team. Yeah. Yikes.
Definitely. And that's not to mention here that obviously we got the word, I believe it was Monday, that Budda Baker's being moved on to IR. If not Monday, definitely Tuesday, yesterday. So let's dive right into what Jonathan Gannon had to say about Budda Baker. Now, I'm going to make sure we talk a little bit about this more in length because this whole Budda Baker thing is very, very interesting. Let's dive right into what Jonathan Gannon had to say about Budda Baker.
It's about the extent of Budda's hamstring.
Yeah, he's going to miss some time, but he'll be back. So put him on IR today. But he'll get ready to go here pretty soon and be ready to roll.
Did you say if he tore the hamstring?
He did not.
So he did not tore the hamstring, right? He did say he was going to come back. Now, in this clip, I could have sworn when I watched this live, I'm not sure if anybody else can confirm, I could have sworn that JG said that he told Budda Baker not to come in this game. Now, when I was rewatching the replay, I couldn't find it for the life of me, but I'm like, I remember hearing this live, and I ended up Googling it. I saw it on Sports Illustrated that, yes, there was a quote from JG saying that he told Budda Baker to stay home. What are your thoughts, obviously, on Budda Baker not being in the sidelines? Do you think I'm looking too much into it? Do you think there's a trade in the possibility happening for Budda Baker? What are your thoughts, man?
Ooh, okay. So we talked about this actually. If you guys go back, or if you guys were, I believe it was literally the live before this. If you guys were in the live before this, we discussed this as a legit possibility, and that's a name that we don't want to see gone. But looking at the realistics of things, Budda Baker, if we're still winless by week 6 or week 7, wherever the trade deadline is, he could get shipped off. And a team that we both discussed was the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
They're going to hop on that if possible. So I don't think this clip has anything to do with anything yet. I do think he hurt his hamstring. Those are tricky. And he's probably just like, okay, listen, just stay home. We don't even want you to have a chance to play a game because it's Budda Baker. This man gets on the field. He just gets the game sense. He's like, okay, cool. I'm going to do everything in my power to play. You know, like, okay, just painkillers. Let's get this thing going. But hamstrings, very tricky, can only get worse. So you don't want Budda Baker to come and just tear it. You want this man to rest up, heal up. And then Jonathan Gannon did say he'll be back.
Yeah. But
we also heard from a former head coach that Josh is our quarterback, and that didn't last long. So coaches are full of it.
Yeah, true.
So
Absolutely.
who knows? It could just be smoke screen. It could just be like basing the media. You're not going to sit here at a press conference and someone asks you a question about Budda. Oh yeah, you know, we actually we talked to the Eagles yesterday, and we had some good conversations about a trade. So yeah, we're looking to get something done. Like everything is just internal, you know? So they're not gonna come out here and just be like sharing everything with the national media.
Oh, for sure. No, definitely. Yeah. And I think you spot on there, right? I honestly, we have to take what these coaches and GMs have to, you know, say with a grain of salt. We got to be really honest here. But the idea of Budda Baker, obviously not playing. IR, cool. He's out for a week or two, right? We don't know the severity. We do know it's not a tear. You know, JG ended up saying it's not a tear. So to me, is it worth the speculation? Because this Budda Baker wanted to get traded, right? We know in the offseason, there was this whole big rumor saying that he ended up putting a trade request out there and he wanted to get out of the Arizona Cardinals. Now that was settled. We ended up giving him the, you know, the extension or at least a pay bump, and he seemed to be happy. But being the idea that he didn't even want him in the sidelines, right? Cheering on his homies, cheering on his other teammates is weird to me. I don't know, like something deep down in me is, and I'm not saying like Jonathan Gannon was like, oh, you're not have to deal with the Cardinals, stay hard. It's just, it's odd like that he wouldn't want him there on the sidelines. Am I thinking too much into it, do you think? Or do you think there is something to be said about him not even wanting him on the sidelines to kind of, you know, good job dabbing people up?
Like with all the speculation, I get it. I'm kind of, I'd say I had like 20% of me thinking like, okay, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is Budda Baker. So it's kind of like you just go home, take the day off, just go relax. Because you come into the facility, you're going to want to play. I know you. Yeah. He's got the heart, he's got the soul. He wants to get on the field. So he's probably just like, okay, go home, rest up a week. We'll evaluate you. Just go rest. I would say that's like 80%. And I don't remember who it was. I don't want to say it was Darren Urban, but somebody came out and basically shot down the Eagles almost having a trade done.
Oh, yes. It was John Gambadoro from 98.7. I ended up putting that on the video I released yesterday because he did come out and say, no, there's no truth to this at all. I did see that.
And Gambo's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
When it comes to Cardinals things, he's kind of ready to shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say there's like 85% of me kind of just go home and rest. But it is kind of weird because
I mean, Kyler
at the end of the day
there.
Yeah, Kyler's there.
ACL tear.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it is Budda Baker at the end of the day too. So, you know, you want him on the sidelines. He gets people fired up. Yeah. Again, Captain Patch doesn't have that for a reason. Even if he's not playing, Captain Patch having that presence on the sideline, getting people going like, okay, this is what you're missing. This is what you're doing. You need to come up and do this. You need to do that. In the second half, Budda Baker probably would have been greatly needed to get some people fired up and kind of, okay, listen, Jalen Thompson, you're going to have to come down here when they're running this, because the Giants came out in a package where they had like all 11 people under center.
Right.
It was like 3 people in the backfield, and like I don't remember what it was, like 7 on the line, and Daniel Jones. They were doing some crazy things.
No, true.
And
They definitely needed to pull everything out to come out the win.
yeah, and then if we had Budda Baker on the sideline, I don't know if it translates in a win, but it helps. It's like having another coach on the sideline.
Yeah.
It's a player coach. Player
Yeah.
coaches know sometimes more than actual coaches.
True, because you're actually doing it. Yeah, you could talk to
Yeah.
JP. He could talk to Kayvon Wallace. You know, you never know what could have, been happening on the sidelines if he is. And I just, something in me, I think it's very weird. Now, I remember the tweets very specifically. Now, they said that they're in talks and they're closing in on a deal, right? Now, that could have got shut down for sure, because I don't think that there's actually talks at the very moment. Like in terms of like closing in on a deal, I think that's a load of hooey, right? And we ended up hearing Gamble saying that, yeah, it's true. It's not an actual thing, but the idea of, if not the Eagles, maybe somebody else, right? Maybe a different team can come out and reach out and say, hey, we're really interested in Budda Baker. Because let's be honest, looking at our roster, who's the one that has the most value outside of Kyler Murray? Budda Baker. Most value the Arizona Cardinals have. Budda Baker.
Oh, dude, it hurts. I don't even like having these conversations.
I don't either.
It reminds me of Patrick Peterson in like 2018, where they were just flying. He came out with the trade request. Obviously, Budda Baker's wasn't in the middle of the season, but dude, it's just, you have this star defensive player, and he doesn't want to tank, doesn't want to waste his prime years, because as a defensive player, when you hit like 31, 32, 33, can't play at the championship level you want. And that's just kind of how it is. You're kind of past your prime, you lost a step, and you can't perform, and you don't want to waste those years in the NFL. And although he loves Arizona, even if he gets traded, I'm going to be hurt. Obviously, I'm going to be hurt deep down.
Absolutely.
But I don't blame him. I don't blame him if he's like, listen, we're 0-7. I don't know if I can just wither my career.
Exactly. I see in the comments here, Budda Baker's 27. It's not like he's an aging, and I get it, right? He's not 22, not 23, but this is prime Budda Baker. We're still getting production Budda Baker. And to think, right, kind of when we were talking about Kyler Murray, think of it as the person, right? As a person, what does he want, right? Does he want to go through a year of the Arizona Cardinals rebuilding and possibly only winning 4 or 5 games? And I'm being very optimistic. I get it. People don't crucify me in the chat. But winning a certain amount of games and not even being in contention for playoffs or Super Bowl, anything like that, right? Because let's be honest, if the Cardinals evaluated Kyler Murray and they said, this is not our guy, right? We want to get a quarterback this next year, regardless of what they do with Kyler. This is 2000. So we had 2022 crap year, 2023 crap year, 2024 crap year, and it's going to be the same cycle over and over again, right? So what are we really asking Budda Baker to do? Stand on the sidelines and be like, hey, pump us up. We're going to be great next year, because if they go rookie quarterback next year and Kyler Murray's not the guy, it's going to be another crap year. So,
yep. And then you just, as a player, you don't want that. And 27, like we said, is still young. It's like entering prime. You got like 25, 26 is like entering your prime. And then 27, he's in the midst of it. But how long will that prime last for an NFL player? Maybe 3 years, 4 years, till he's like 31, I would say, is probably elite level, high level, until he starts seeing a dip in production or decline in play. So does he want to wither one more year away and risk that and just hurt his championship window?
Yeah.
It's kind of on him. Like, do you value loyalty over winning? Do you want to be a Larry Fitzgerald kind of player, or do you want to be someone who goes and gets after it,
Right. Yeah. They don't make him like Larry anymore. That's for darn sure. They did not make him like Larry Fitzgerald. That man was loyal to a fault, and it's very unfortunate because he never got a ring, and we've always wanted to get him a ring. And
jeez, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't even. Watching that Super Bowl just
hurts, bro. Hurts.
I cannot watch it. Just getting the catch, takes it all the way like 80 yards, and then you watch that final drive. Like, every time I see it, it's the worst when you just like load up Instagram and it's like, oh, this is like the 12th anniversary of this Super Bowl. It's like, get this out my face.
Right, exactly.
Get this out of my face. I can't watch this.
Yeah, no, true. So obviously speculations, once we get closer, we just need to figure out a lot of different things, right? A lot of things up in the air right now for Arizona Cardinal fans, the organization. We need to figure out, are the Cardinals are going to be competitive this next week, right? And not to look too far, but we got the Cowboys, we got the 49ers, and then we got the Cincinnati Bengals, which they don't look the best, but on paper, they do have a really good roster. So let's talk about the Cowboys real quick, right? Just really high overview. What do you expect out of this game? Do you think the Cardinals will contend? Do you think the Cardinals are going to get obliterated? What do you think?
All right. So I had you on my channel yesterday. We kind of discussed this game a little bit, and we had a crazy statistic. Not even statistic. It's just like plain obvious. The Cowboys have dropped 70 points in 2 games. The defense in 2 games have only allowed 10 points. One of those was a scoreless game against the Giants, who just poured it on in that second half. So
insane.
Optimistic? No, I'm not very optimistic because we're not even beating teams like the Commanders and the Giants. Like we're competitive against these teams, and it's kind of nice. And what's kind of nice though is we were, I don't even know, because the Giants we did play and they were scoreless, and then they came and just piled it on us, and they couldn't score a point on Dallas's defense. So it's like, how is this going to translate to this week? I'm not very optimistic about it. I feel like this could get very ugly very fast. And if we were to score anything over 10 points, obviously I'm gonna mark us down as a biased Cardinals fan as having over 10 points. Because why not? I want to see some fight. Now, do I think that's possible that we go scoreless? I do. I really do. Is there a chance we walk away with like 6 points?
All Prater? All field goals?
It really could be. This could be a 9-point game where we just kick 3 field goals and that's the end of it. And Dallas pours on like 31. And we're looking at a 31-9 game and just on to week 4. And then I even have people in my comments of that video like, yeah, the Cardinals are going to shock them. It's the Cowboys. And I'm like, okay. Like, normally I'm all here for the upset, but if this happens, I'm going to lose my mind.
Oh, me too.
I'm assuming you're the same way.
Oh, absolutely. You I think by now, the amount of collabs we've done so far with each other, you kind of know I'm a roller coaster guy, right? I'm always like, I'm always one of those dramatic fans. So, like, if we do contend with this team, man, the amount of excitement, right? And only the fact that Kyler Murray, hopefully, fingers crossed, is coming back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks from week 3. Right now, we don't know, right? We're seeing that video and we're all hoping and being optimistic that the idea of Kyler Murray being healthy, going into week 5 is going to be a real thing. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. It's just, to me as a player, if we're 0-5, 0-4, 0-6, 0-7, and you're coming back as a franchise quarterback, and this is going to be one of your very telling years because people already want to crucify you, it's going to be tough. It's a tough ask. It really is. Because not only that, we stripped a lot of the talent, NFL talent we had on this roster. People seem to forget that we did not do anything in free agency. We did get Kazir White, which I do like him. This man is a killer. He is a
dog.
Yeah, he's good. But like, we stripped any sense of talent that we might have had on this roster. Now, yes, we can fill it with unknown people, right? Like Kayvon Wallace, Kazir White. Man, they've shocked. Man. They absolutely have. But we still got holes on this roster and can compete with the Dallas Cowboys.
On the top of my head, let's just go ahead and dissect real quick, just off the top of my head, a couple of the players that are no longer on this roster that were last year. So let's go ahead and start out with the offense. We don't have Chase Edmonds, right? Chase Edmonds isn't here. That big receiving back that was really nice to have in this offense. AJ Green, no longer have him. DeAndre Hopkins, clear as day, big hole. And then on the offensive line, you have Justin Pugh. You have Rodney Hudson. 2 big names right there. Justin Pugh, super underrated guard. Rodney Hudson was the core and center of this team. We literally won as he won. There was a stat that literally tracked it. And we play with him. We were like 8-1. That's so insane. Then you go to the defensive line. We literally lost both of our ends. We lost Zach Allen, J.J. Watt. Rashard Lawrence, gone. Marcus Golden, gone. And then who else? Who was our middle linebacker? Jordan Hicks, gone. Byron Murphy, gone. Jeez, dude. It's just Andy Lee, gone.
Yeah, I do like Cooney.
now. Yeah, Cooley's cool.
Yeah.
No pun intended. And
Right.
Then, and then Andy Lee gone, and then it's just like it just keeps piling on. Colt McCoy now gone. Like this team is shifting.
Yeah.
This is not the same Cardinals team.
True.
We're no longer the talented Cardinals team surrounding Kyler Murray with all these weapons. We lost a lot. We lost a lot of talent. This team is literally starting from the ground up.
Yeah.
If we're being honest.
No, and you're right, 100%. And that's the thing too. Like, right, you could, if you are a great evaluator, if you're a great GM, which, we've been giving some praise to Monty Austin for it so far for this, short year that we've had him so far. You could still get a diamond in the rough, right? You could still get a 3rd round draft pick, a 4th round draft pick, and it can be spectacular, right? And that's to say that we hope that these rookies can become that. Now, let's be honest, Keitrell Clark, that cornerback that we have, what a magnificent pick, right? He's looking so good so far. Now, in terms of interception ratio, we don't have anything right now, but what he's done for this Cardinal defense when we really needed a cornerback, he's kind of really shined. And what we're hoping for Marco Wilson seems to decline just this last game. Now, yes, the NFL is very fickle with 1 week to the next, right? We were talking about how decent or good, it's like good, Marco Wilson did in week 1, and then week 2 came, and it's like, oh, Marco Wilson, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But Keitrell Clark's looking good. So far, our rookies have looked promising. Can you agree?
I would agree, honestly, because who did we take this year? Why is this draft class looking through my head? Paris Johnson has looked phenomenal so far.
Yeah.
And could we ask anything more out of a right tackle so far in 2 weeks? I love the way he's playing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said about obviously when the defense is whole and healthy. I think all of them work very well. What we saw in the Giants game in terms of like the whole defense looked really bad in the second half. Like, let's be honest, right? Let's not point one specific person out and say this is the person who did it. The whole defense just looked bad. Now, was that because of the offense not being able to convert drives? Was that because of the play calling, right? We could blame anything, right? But the idea is that Keitrell Clark, I think, has looked promising for a very young kid. Yes, he's gotten some things knocked on him, but looking pretty promising. Michael Wilson, what was he leading wide receivers by like 1 yard? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I we've been really high in Michael Wilson.
Yeah,
from the jump, and looking at him, if you watch training camp highlights, joint practices, and if you like actually keep up with all those things, or even look at him pre-draft, he's an elite separator.
Yeah,
when it comes to route running, he gets space, and he has the hands as well. On top of that, he's a big body receiver, and so far through 2 games, he's looked pretty good.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he has a legit chance to be like a wide receiver too for this team, because there's a lot of question marks. Hollywood Brown, again, another player that might be shipped out, or not even shipped out, but he could just walk. So we don't know. We might have a hole at receiver, and Michael Wilson steps up and takes it.
Yeah.
And you know who Michael Wilson kind of reminds me of? And I've said this like for a long time.
Michael Thomas?
Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
He's not the fastest. He's not the most like insane receiver, but he gets it done. And when I say insane, I don't mean like he's not going to get like praised for the things he does, because he's not like either you're out here just dunking on people and just catching it over everybody, or you're a blazer like Tyreek Hill, and those plays tend to get posted everywhere, and then the national media runs with it. But Michael Wilson, he's made plays.
Yeah.
He gets separation, he gets open, and he comes down with the passes that come his way. I believe he doesn't have a drop so far, so good sign so far from me. I like how he's playing.
One thing I'll definitely say is that if the Arizona Cardinals do choose to ship people off, right? Not naming names. We've already done that. Then we'll be getting more reps, because Michael Wilson, although produced more by a yard, or was like a yard or two compared to Marquise Hollywood Brown, if he does get shipped off, we're going to be seeing a lot more production, a lot more playing time for Michael Wilson to come in here and show out to see kind of what he has. And that goes for Trey McBride too. Like, we've seen some flashes here and there of Trey McBride. And it's crazy that we're dealing with right now, almost kind of feeling like Trey McBride's a rookie. No, I mean, it's just he just hasn't had a lot of playing time, right? Mm-hmm. What is his second year? And then we drafted him last year, right?
Yeah.
So now we're kind of starting to see him more with this offense that Drew Petzing is coming. And this is kind of what we wanted as fans, right? Where we want our rookies to produce year one. We don't want them to be Pro Bowlers. We just want them to be on the field, because that's what you need to do. You need them to
develop.
Produce. Yeah, develop, produce,
You
and
need him to develop. You can only get good with game reps. Like practice only does so much. If you can't
yeah,
translate it on the field or don't even have an opportunity to get better,
yeah,
you're only going up against your team. You're not going up against other teams. You need to get game reps. You need to get live action. And I'm a big believer in Trey McBride too.
yeah.
I
We'll see
really
what
feel like
happens.
he can be solid.
I do see in the chat here, Garrett Williams. Forgot about him.
Oh, I forgot about him. 3rd round pick.
Yeah, forgot about him. Yeah, in terms of
What?
like he's still out too.
Yeah, he's on IR, right?
Yeah, I think they placed him on. Yeah, obviously the injury happened before. Like this was college. I'm not sure if they're not even going to risk him
Yeah.
this year. We'll see. But yeah, I know since the beginning of the season he was just already on a list. He was not going to play in the beginning of the season. That's just already a fact.
I want to see him on the field though, when
Me too.
possible, when fully healthy, because
Me
it's a
too.
3rd round pick.
Yeah.
And you know, this is the BJ Ojulari draft. Wow. Name
Yeah.
slipped out of my head.
It's crazy because we haven't heard a lot of BJ Ojulari. That's the problem. Like
No.
we're right now, our outside linebackers is kind of a swing, right? With Dennis Gardick, David Collins, we see Cam Thomas every once in a while, Sanders we see as well. And I think BJ Ojulari is kind of being put in that
The mix.
that swing, yeah, in that mix, but less obviously because he's a rookie and he didn't really have a lot of time in training camp
He's been dealing
because
with
of
an
injury. So it's kind of what we're dealing with right now, unfortunately, but we'll have to kind of wait and see, right? Obviously, we're just heading into week 3. It's not like the season's over. We got like what, 15
more games.
Yeah, 15 more games. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how the Arizona Cardinals are going to come back after when Kyler Murray does this, come back when he's actually healthy enough to play. So what are your last thoughts on this Cowboys game? What do you want to say? Just because we are going to have a smaller abbreviated video today, just because I just realized the Diamondback game was going to be, and this is a crucial, and I want to watch this game.
Gotcha. I think this game can get really ugly, and I'm not really scared for the outcome, but I kind of just expect it, and I'm kind of like, okay, the Cowboys can come in here and just pour it on, and this defense can shut us down.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for fight at the end of the day. I'm looking for players to make names for themselves. I'm looking for players to step up, and I'm going to be watching a couple key players, like we said, Michael Wilson being one of them. I'm just looking for players to step up. Trey McBride. I just want to see people take leaps this season.
I agree. Fight hard. Hopefully we don't get embarrassed, because I do know a few Cowboy fans outside and in the YouTube life that they're licking their chops in this game. But so were the Commanders, and so were the Giants fans. They were all licking their chops. So we'll see what happens. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to close up shop here a little earlier compared to most days, just because there is a very pivotal baseball game that I want to watch. Obviously, AZ sports fan, I watch all sports, so I want to make sure that we can get to the playoff spot, or stick in the playoff spot that we are in. So big shout out here to my sponsor. We got more sponsors coming our way. I got another person that we're working with to see if we can get some Cardinals apparel coming your way, getting a promo code. We're going to be doing giveaways. But big shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code AZSF. They do a lot of pick'ems where you basically can go higher, lower, try to get yourself 5 times amount of your money. They also do drafts. So if you want to go ahead and download the app today, use promo code AZSF, and sponsor of this video. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go close up shop here today. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and go Birds.